Before we get into today's video, I did want to take a quick segue over to Blue Sky, which I do have an account on. I do still have my Twitter/X account. However, I've been having a lot more personal interactions over here, and I've honestly been really enjoying it so far. I also wanted to go to the JoCat post on this as well. This is the video where he did go to Japan, the video we'll be watching today. He did say that he didn't mind anyone making reaction videos or streams of this. It was a massive endeavor. I love seeing how people react to it. Now, I do want to state as well, I know I've been a little frustrated back and forth in regards to trying to be as ethical as I can, trying to be as transformative as I can, and receiving kind of just all across the spectrum of you're being ethical, you're being fine versus, oh, well, you're just pausing too much, you're, adding way too much commentary. Even if I see something like this where, someone like JoCat is like, please react to your content, I don't view it as any sort of free pass. I still want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to respect the video, to respect the creator, to respect everyone who took time and effort to make the video. And at the end of the day as well, like I say with any sort of reaction that I do, if the original creator does want me to take the video down and or any videos I've reacted to them down, I will most absolutely comply with that. I want to make sure I'm doing what I can to be the difference rather than just another voice in the React content sphere. So with that out of the way, thank you for bearing with me. My first trip to Japan, JoCat Storytime by JoCat.
I want to tell you a story about my first trip to Japan.
They're actually adorable together. I actually don't think I've seen IRL JoCat. And it makes that whole interaction where the internet absolutely just bullied him off the internet, makes that hurt all the worse for me. Because, like I've said prior, people just can't be kind to nice people anymore. And absolutely, when he said he didn't want to come back to the internet, and you will see record of this, it's like, I respect his decision. Do I necessarily want him to go? Absolutely not. But I do respect his decision if that was. I am glad he's back. Don't get me wrong. And I'm glad that he's back having fun, and he just looks like he's living his best life. That is fantastic. And the haters can just get bent, okay? They can go get their drool buckets and go bang on some pots and pans somewhere else.
So Echo and I always wanted to go. Her as someone who potentially wants to live there one day, and me as someone who always wanted to see what the culture was about. Though I had flown internationally before, this would be my first time in almost a decade since the last time I did. Combined with the fact that I am growing a developing hatred towards flying, I was prepared for 15 hours of dread. And it was dreadful.
The track is banger. I'm trying to figure out, the mic quality is like an 8 out of 10. I think it's a little echoey. I'm trying to figure out what it is. I don't know if that's soundproofing. I don't know if that's a filter. Not that it's bad by any means, but this is kind of like a critique kind of thing, right? Like looking at this, like how could that feel more warm and personable? Which is arguably JoCat's strong suit, right? How could that feel a little more warm and personable over a little more distant and echoey? But it could also be by design. It could be a number of things. The track is banger, though. I like it.
I'm someone who cannot sleep unless they're laying down, so the entire flight was just me adjusting and readjusting my position to try and get just a little bit of shut-eye.
Yep,
with zero luck. But thankfully, when it was finally over, I had a lot of fun to look forward to. Right after we get through customs and grab our train cards and Wi-Fi box and cash, and drag our very heavy bags through the city to our Airbnb. The flight arrived at about 4 p.m., but we didn't make it to the place we were staying at until nearly 9. Oof. Most of the time we had spent waiting in line for our train cards, since there was only one terminal for basically everyone at the airport. Ooh. This was because there was a chip shortage for the Suica cards that let you use the public transit in Tokyo. And the only ones available were the welcome Suica cards, which only lasted 28 days. But that was fine because that's about how long we were going to stay. After all that was done, we finally made it to our home base for the month. An apartment in Sumida City. And also by a very convenient Lawson, of which we would visit near daily whenever we would need a quick meal. Thank you, Lawson employees. You are our heroes. So here we were.
I love seeing the customer service support. I think that's just kind of lost nowadays, at least here in the US, right? Where I mean, I've gotten upset over burger places completely just getting my order wrong, but it's also like I'm not necessarily upset at them because I get having to work stressful hours. I get having to work god awful shifts. I don't, however, understand the mentality of like your waiter or waitress messes up one thing and then you're like, oh well, this person, they clearly don't know how to work, and it just turns into the fat electrician bum meme, right? Like I don't understand it in any stretch of the imagination. Like that's cruel and unusual, and that's not how that's supposed to work. Be kind to people, right? Treat others how you would like to be treated. Generally, I will treat people with respect until they showcase, hey, I'm going to be disrespectful of you, Kip, or they showcase that, they're just going to be strictly other Clan B status. And then I'm just like, okay, cool. Yeah, I will be, I will be polite with you. However you push my buttons, no, not going to happen, right? But that's any social interaction, right? I outline this, but that's reasonably how every social interaction should work.
We're finally in Japan. We chose Tokyo because it's the most foreigner-friendly, a nice baby's first Japan location. Especially considering Echo is still learning the language, and I know little to none of that language.
Yeah.
I can speak Thai though.
Nice.
แต่ว่าผมลืมภาษาไทยไปตั้งเยอะ แล้วก็พูดเหมือนฝรั่ง
I love everything he just said, despite me knowing nothing about what he just said. His outset is also just banger. Certified just W moment for JoCat. Love his outfit.
There's a lot of English translations around for signage, but most impressively, the public transit was so easy to understand that as far as getting around goes, we had basically no problems finding our way around the city. So, what did we do on our first day in this new foreign country to us, ripe with centuries of culture and dozens of fun new things to do? Against the recommendations of a good friend of ours, and basically everyone else who's ever been to Japan, we went to Kura Sushi.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
In our defense, we don't have a Kura Sushi anywhere where we live in the US without having to fly to another state. And if we're gonna take in what Japan has to offer, why not their equivalent of a McDonald's, right? On top of that, it also had the benefit of allowing people to order food without having to talk to anybody, which is great for nervous foreigners with the language barrier who don't want to accidentally inconvenience anybody. Echo tried a lot of stuff. I mostly had the meat. Oh, and also, every 5 plates, you get a chance to win a gachapon, of which I won on my first try.
Nice.
The rest of the day, we planned on getting a few things from Daiso and Book Off Plus in a sort of shopping district in Ueno. Or maybe Ueno is the shopping district, I don't know. But it was a really nice place. Just about every few feet, there was a store that caught our eye. We even found a nice clothing store where I got this cute, cozy sweater that looks like low-level RPG gear.
Nice.
And it helped keep me warm the entire trip. Speaking of which, I wish I could show you the absolute amazing fashion that was on display in some of these clothing stores. If it weren't for our budget, I would have personally gotten about a dozen outfits. Fun situation that happened while we were out. I was feeling thirsty at one point, so we stopped by a convenience store to grab something to drink. I found a can.
I do want to pause to note really quick that this is how doing sort of like vlogging, IRL, like not necessarily stream, but I'm sure you can do it for streaming as well, right? This is how this should work. Not the weird Johnny Somali kick metagame where you just harass people or you're just a buffoon or you're just being generally unpleasant. No, none of that. You are doing what you need to. You're being respectful. As somebody who I look at like IRL streaming and stuff like that, and I feel that it is a problem in a lot of aspects. I feel that people are pushing that envelope way too far, and you're going to have more Johnny Somalis that are going to push the envelope way harder. You have Jack Dougherty. I always mispronounce his last name, but I really don't care. I still don't understand why he's not in jail. But I mean, he just crashes in McLaren looking at having kick chat at least on, right? And if you're using your phone in any capacity, that is a driving infraction. Whether you're using it for call, we're using hands-free. As far as I'm aware, it is still an infraction. And I guess that's maybe dependent on state to state. Or you have people like, God, there's a couple others on Kick who just do obnoxious things. But I wanted to really kind of point this out because even on YouTube, say 15 years ago, I remember, God, it has been 15 years since I've been in high school almost, right? No, it's been about, graduated 2013. It's been about 11. Yeah, it's been about 11. About 11, 12 years ago, I remember watching YouTube videos and people just touring through Aki and like Tokyo and stuff. And like, there were certain stores that you can't go inside of. And obviously respect the business, respect the property, right? But like this, it's non-invasive. It's respectful. You're doing exactly what you need to do. You're not being obnoxious about it. What else could you want? 10 out of 10. I think that this is IRL vlogging, videoing, streaming even done correctly.
Can of lemon water that looked pretty refreshing, so we bought it. Found a nice spot to sit and refresh ourselves, and went about our way in more of the shopping district. But then I started to feel a bit woozy.
Amazing.
Echo had a look over my drink, and it turns out it was alcoholic, and I hadn't even noticed. Now, being a little tipsy in public was not a big deal, but what was of note is that I had finally found an alcoholic drink that I liked. Some of you may remember I did a few drunk gaming streams in the past with my friends, and know that I usually can't even stomach a few sips, let alone the chugs I was taking for the stream.
Oh god, I hate the taste of alcohol. No, I totally get where he's coming from. And regardless of how well you try to mask it, generally I will at least, taste the hint of alcohol in it. I can't stand it. So I totally get where he's coming from with this.
So this was a big deal to me. It may come as no surprise to people who remember those streams as well that I am a huge lightweight.
Same.
So even this little drink with 5% alcohol content was giving me red flush and a warm, cozy feeling.
I dig it. I personally get bodied from a single Mike's Hard Lemonade. Not harder. Hard. I go straight from just like sober to just nah, dude. I'm done. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. It's great. Very cheap.
The next day, we did a bit more aimless exploring just to get a bit more of our bearings around the immediate area, and somehow accidentally found ourselves at the Tokyo Skytree, of all places. It's not like it was all that far from our Airbnb, but it was still a pleasant surprise to land there without really meaning to. And inside was a lot of cool stores and food stands, but most importantly, and most dangerously, gachapon machines.
I wonder what would happen if you brought... So, I know, like, places like GameStop and stuff, they started doing these for a little bit of time, right? Here's how you Americanize this, right? You just put ammunition in these. You gachapon, get some 5.56. You gachapon, get some 30-06. For all intents and purposes, this is a joke, but a funny one at that.
They're literally all over Tokyo.
So good.
In fact, on our way through some of the subway stations, we came across dozens. But here they were, stacks upon stacks of them, much to the dismay of our wallets. Luckily, we were able to hold some sense of impulse control, but from that point on, Echo devised a plan and began saving our 100 yen coins in a very special little pouch.
Amazing.
Earlier that day, Echo also secretly got me a bunch of probably the biggest grapes I have ever seen in my life. See, we had decided to come to Japan in October because that would be the time when it'd be both grape season and persimmon season. Echo was interested in the latter fruits, whereas I don't like grapes, but I do love grape flavors. It's definitely one of my favorite fruit flavors. And in America, there's this one drink that I really like to get whenever we go to our local Asian market. Ramune. And they had a...
I respect people that like ramen. I can't do it. I don't know. It's just not my thing, right? I love that it's his thing. I love that he likes it. I love that if you like it. It's just one of those that like I've never really been able to get into it. Like I'll drink it, sure, but do I necessarily go for that? Nah. However, I mean, I don't know. Haritos, right? Oh, those go hard. Those go pretty hard. Obviously not Japanese soda, right? Those go hard though.
Grape flavor that I love. I also love this candy that could be found in the same store called Haichu. And so, for a long time I wondered, a lot of Japanese grape flavored things sort of taste similar. Do grapes just taste different in Japan? So, this was my chance to finally see if I might like Japanese grapes more than American grapes.
I believe these are Concord grapes, is that what they're called?
Massive, mate.
It's a different type of grape from the one that we have in America. Better than American grapes or about the same, neutral?
I wonder if it's a texture thing. Like, I wonder. Like, if someone doesn't like food, that's completely fine. I wonder, I always like, what is it necessarily? Is it something that's like, is it a flavor thing? Is it a texture thing? Is it a profile thing? Is it a maybe a past experience, right? Like what is it? I always like people's rationale on that.
Still not a fruit guy?
I'm sorry.
I will happily eat them. I'm excited.
Alas, I guess I just don't like grapes. The next couple of days, we decided to rest up and do some work in our apartment because, yay, being a YouTuber means you are never truly free. But that evening, we did go to what I personally consider to be one of my favorite places to go in that entire trip, a local yakitori izakaya, a bar that serves grilled meat on little bamboo skewers. The food was great. The drinks were great. I even found another alcoholic beverage that I enjoyed, so that was another win. But the thing I liked most about it was the manager, who was incredibly patient and accommodating to us from the instant we stepped in. It was probably pretty obvious to him that we were tourists, so even though we could not speak a word of each other's language, he was nice enough to gesture to us each part of the bar for us to understand the regular procedure. Use the hand sanitizer, pick a seat that leaves room for others, order a drink before you order food. But coolest of all, he would point to each item on the menu, which did not have an English translation, and taught us how to read and pronounce each item, including pointing to the display as to which one each item corresponded to.
That's so cool. Like, this man absolutely deserves, like, respect. Like, that's absolutely phenomenal. Now, I don't think it's necessarily fair or even proper to say that this is how everyone should be. No, I think that's what separates good service from great service, from stellar service even, right? A 4 out of 5 from a 5 out of 5, right? I think that this man is going above and beyond to be able to accommodate gaijin, right? Foreigners. I mean, I've talked about it in the past where gaijin literally by kanji, like outside person, right? Foreign person, aren't necessarily seen in the best light. I mean, and especially following, events by people like Johnny Somali and just other nuisance streamers, right? Like, that is a huge concern to me if I were to ever go, not to just Japan, but just outside the US as well, because it's the unfortunate few that ruin it for everybody. But I really like that he's just super genuine and super legit, and even is taking the time to just be like, sore wa negima, right? And he's just pointing at the negima, right? It's so good.
I don't know if this was just because we were foreigners or if it was just standard procedure there, but he would regularly check up on us to make sure everything was good on our end. And if that wasn't cool enough, at one point, Echo had decided to translate the menu for my convenience because unga bunga stupid American brain not knowing another language. But one day, we had come home from that restaurant and I had lost the menu, which really sucked. Echo put a lot of work into that thing. But then, when we returned to the yakitori place, it turns out the manager had found and kept Echo's translated menu and held onto it for us.
What a cool dude.
This man single-handedly watered my crops, cleared my skin, and cured my depression. I love him.
What a cool dude. That is stellar service. That is the 5 out of 5, exceeded expectations, went above and beyond, right? And it's not that he really gained anything from it, right? It's just that he was just a super legit person, right? I have to talk about a lot of serious things on my channel, right? And I have to get in the middle of a bunch of really dumb criticism sometimes, where it's like, I want to do things other than React content, and I do other things other than React content. Unfortunately, nothing has really taken off, and which means I have to try harder when I can finally get my life together, right? Not nowhere but up, that kind of mentality, right? But like, that's what I like to see. When I say I hate people as a general, I'm talking about the internet screechers. I'm talking about the people who wanted to harass JoCat for a video about liking women. Like, get over yourself? That, when I say I like individual persons, individual people, that's who I'm talking about. That man single-handedly is just an absolute legend.
Another work day, so nothing interesting going on, but what was important was that today was Burnable Trash Day.
Nice.
If you're not familiar, Japan has a very specific method of how they do waste disposal, and it's your responsibility to categorize your trash. Mm-hmm. Sure, they have sanitation workers pick up the garbage like normal, but it's your job to make sure the right trash is stored correctly and in the right place. In America, we only really have trash and recyclables. That is, unless your local government decides to take the recycling bin away and make you drive all the way to the recycling center. But anyway.
I know in Idaho, sometimes they'll reclassify things, area I was living in. I think because there's, 1 through 6. I'm sure there's more as well, but there's types of plastic. There's an actual number in the middle of their cycle. But sometimes they're just like, well, we're not taking 5s now all of a sudden, or we're not taking 4s or whatever, and they just shift it around. It feels like the process is just so awful in the US for all intents and purposes. Like, I'm behind logic like this. And if everyone can get behind it, absolutely. I'm sure there's a system that works there. I'm a fan of this, but in the US, it's handled so awfully. And that's not to demean anyone who works in sanitation, anyone who works in recycling, right? At the end of the day, they're just doing their job. That is their job to pick whatever up. And then you get into the, well, I'm going to overstuff my garbage can. That way the lid's up. And sometimes they don't take it, which is fair because if that goes against what they're supposed to take, and then they take pictures of it and they're just like, yeah, this address. I mean, there's follow through on people who actually just don't give a crap. There is. I like it. I like that as a concept though. And I think that is something that, honestly, I would love to do. But like, there's just got to be that support structure for it, and there's got to be incentive for people to do it, because I could not see something like this taking off in Idaho.
You usually just kind of throw everything in one place.
Yeah.
Not so in Japan. To keep things simple, there are really two main umbrellas that all trash falls under in Japan: burnables and recyclables. Easy enough, just like the States. But with the recyclables, you have to separate them and store them a certain way for trash pickup, like bundling papers together, putting metal cans all in the same bag, cleaning out any reusable cups so there aren't any food bits left in it, and the like. It was a very different way of doing things than Echo and I were used to, so it took a bit of time to figure out, but once we did, it was kind of nice knowing that our trash was going to the right places.
So good. I think that's the big difference as well, is allegations. Allegedly, certain recycles will just end up in the trash anyways. So if it's all going to the same place, you enter this apathetic state of, why bother, right? Why would you bother doing this when this is just going to be the end result? Which, should it be how that works? Idealistically, no. Realistically, that will be how it ends up in a lot of places. And that's why it's also important that if allegations like that do come out, to debunk them, or if they are true, just to do better from the managerial side of things, right? Very rarely do I actually mean any sort of contention or negativity when it comes to ground workers. It's usually reserved for management or high-tier management, even executives, even shareholders who are making these decisions. At the end of the day, you're doing your job. You're being told what to do. You might disagree with it wholeheartedly, but they write your paycheck. It needs to be directed at them.
Today was our first day of special plans. Disney Sea. It was one of the first available things we could book, and thankfully it wasn't all that busy that day, so we never really had to worry about crowds or too long lines. I think it was a bit more of a park than a theme park, as me and Echo spent a lot of time just sort of walking around since the rides were fairly far apart. We only really got to ride like 4 rides before deciding to call it a day, which we were overall fine with, but me personally, I just wish there were more rides for the size of the park, or if the park was a little smaller so there wasn't so much walking needed between them. We also grabbed a few souvenirs for some friends.
Thank you for bringing me to France.
Yeah. We'll have to check for bedbugs later.
Okay.
Not a lot happened this day. I mostly stayed in and near our Airbnb to sort of rest up after going to the Disney park yesterday, while Echo had a girl day where she went to Tobu and got some cakes. She actually did quite a few girl days on our trip, and if you want to hear about those, feel free to subscribe to her channel where she'll tell you all about it. For me though, it was nice to just have a rest day where I could wander and take in the local area where we were staying, especially with how convenient the public transportation is. Okay, speaking of, can I just talk about the public transportation really quick? Because I think that was probably my single most favorite thing about staying in Japan, or at least in Tokyo. The fact that there are trains and buses everywhere that help you get where you need to go, and how it makes just about everything within walking distance. Sure, there are roads and stuff in the larger parts of the city where having a car would definitely be beneficial, but me and Echo never had to step foot in a single car the whole trip, save for once. In America, there are very few places where we have things like trains and bus stops. They exist, but really you'll only ever find them in certain very dense cities that have been around since the colonial era. And even then, a lot of them get replaced by roads and highways. To get anywhere in America, you need a car, full stop. And yeah, there have been attempts to add in more public transportation, but for some reason, it never really took off, and it's a real mystery why. No one truly knows. It's a big mystery, really. But in Japan,
big mystery,
or at least in Tokyo, you can get just about anywhere on foot. There are train stations at just about every other block, and navigating them is so simple and easy to understand that children can use it, and do. Whenever we would go somewhere, me and Echo would occasionally see a kid, no older than 10, get on the train all by themselves with no parents or escort or anything. They just know how to use the trains and buses.
That's honestly kind of wild to me. I mean, I don't know. So, I mean, people have really kind of seen me over the couple years that I have been actively doing YouTube and doing React content, right? And I've definitely said some stuff, but they're just like, how much do you actually know, though, right? Like, because I've mentioned, doing things like a paper on Ed Gein. When I watch like Casual Criminalist by Simon Whistler and stuff like that, I guess you could say I have a mistrust of people in general. It's understanding the worst that humanity has to offer and the evils that humanity can delve into, and ultimately at the end of the day, just rejecting it. I mean, it's not a flawless system, because like Chikan is definitely a thing that happens in Japan, which, I mean, like, I'm not going to tell you what the word means. If you know, you know. I would advise not looking it up. I'm not going to tell you how to spell it. However, like, Chikan is absolutely a thing over there. And that's an issue that their public transportation runs into. Not to say that it's, a reason to not use it. It definitely seems better. I don't feel like something like in the US would fly, though. Like, I would love it. And I had to drive all the way down to Boise the other day, and I got stuck there's this stupid intersection, and it blows my mind, because I hate downtown Boise. If you've been to downtown Boise, you probably know about all the one ways and weird things. It was a perpendicular side street to Front Street, so pretty big, like where Anime Oasis was held there. And there was a consistent yield on green. I literally went through 4 light cycles, and there were just more and more cars because of how much the Front Street, the big street going to the freeway, actually kept spewing out. And it's like, man, I know I had to go where I live, which is anonymous for security reasons, right? I had to go where I live all the way to Boise, and that takes a car, right? It's going to take a car. It's no different than if I wanted to go to, something like Pocatello. It's no different when I want to go to Idaho Falls, if I want to go to Lewiston, if I want to go to Coeur d'Alene, right? All the way up north, right? I mean, like, there's going to be places where I'm going to have to use a car to get. But once you're there, and I understand for like rural farming, stuff like that, I get it, right? I feel like a lot of cities could benefit from stuff like this. I don't actually know Portland, Seattle, LA. I don't know if a lot of them have public transportation, at least to this degree. I wonder why it works for Japan and not necessarily for other places, not just from a budgeting standpoint. The reason why I got onto the whole negativity, evils of humanity thing is that I think that even if we one-to-one were to implement this, I think that, unfortunately, you might see a lot of kidnappings. You might see a lot of violence. You might even see, there was a policy that was introduced in a certain state, something like that, where they gave all the homeless people bus passes, and it ended up just kind of shifting the problem onto public transport and allowed people to get to other places. And when I mean homeless, I'm not talking about, you're down on your luck. I'm talking about the people who are actively choosing to do substance abuse. The people that are getting kicked out 40 times in a row because they're trying to steal from someplace, they're trespassed from a store, right? That specific subset is what I'm referring to. Like, it happens for a variety of reasons. I'm getting way into the weeds here. I like public transportation as a concept. And in fact, even going to Boise, I was just like, I would love if this was just a thing. Sure, they have the weird little scooter things that you can like tap to pay on, right? But it's just not the same. And even then, when you go on the road, like if you try to bike on the road, you are taking safety into your own hands, because like cars will just take up the road. It's a heavy consideration for wherever I inevitably end up, because public transport is honestly just, it's great. It also incentivizes walking, also incentivizes exercise. I think that it's great, but unfortunately we don't have a lot of places in the US that it's really a thing.
It was especially helpful that all the signage was super foreigner-friendly, since Tokyo had just recently renovated the city to be foreigner-friendly for the 2020 Olympics it was supposed to host before the... Yeah. What made the whole thing even more fun was that at about every station, there are desks with stamps for that station, and each stamp had a different design. And so it was my and Echo's mission to get a stamp at any new station we stopped at whenever possible. We even got these cute little sketchbooks from one of the stores at the Skytree that we would put them in. Echo's is a lot fancier than mine, because she would draw cute little doodles to represent what nearby attractions and things were at that station, and what we did there. But all this to say, if there was one thing I could bring home from Japan to the US, it would be the train system. Please, please, God, please. I just want trains. Please, please. No! The next 4 days, we didn't.
So hear me out, right? Give us the trains, give us the public transit system, and then everyone with their big F-350s, everyone with their big semis, everyone with, who wants to bring out their GMC BMWs, Ferrari, Bugatti, whatever, right? You can have the road. Just give me my public transit. Give me my public transport. I will take the train. I will take whatever. Yeah, technically Boise does have a bus system. We're not going to talk about that, though. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine walking or biking or taking some sort of public transit system. Sure, I don't have to be on the road. Like, I always forget what I drive. I literally always forget what I drive. I just got in it last night. Whatever. I drive like a sedan, right? I don't necessarily need to be on the road. If I need to go on the road, I usually haul my armor for SCA somewhere, right? Like, just, yeah, I'm game. I'm game for public transit.
Really do anything special. Spent it mostly just living in Japan. We'd do work during the day, head out to grab lunch at noon, maybe explore a bit of the city, come back to do more work, go out for dinner, maybe get distracted by an arcade for an hour or 3, check out some convenies and grab snacks, then come back and get ready for the next day. It was kind of nice to just wind down and take it all in. I know to a lot of folk that might sound like we were wasting our vacation days, but I don't know. Having to do something exciting and having a strict schedule every day during a time that you're supposed to be spent relaxing doesn't sound all that enjoyable to me. Now, not everyone is able to spend a month on vacation, whether it be because they can't afford it or their schedule doesn't allow it. So I hope this doesn't come across like I'm saying the way we did it is the best way for everyone. But we did plan for a whole month specifically because we like having days where nothing's scheduled and we can just sort of go about doing whatever we want without having to worry that we weren't maximizing our vacation time. Plus,
it is also a subjective thing, though. Like, people want to do different things. It's why, like, when I take time off, when I kind of disappear for a little bit, right? Like, I mean, sometimes I just lay down. Sometimes I just lay there. Well, why aren't you going to do this? Why aren't you going painting some Warhammer? Why aren't you going out and going to Yu-Gi-Oh events and stuff? It's like, I just don't want to. Like, it's also an incredibly subjective thing. Also, having rest days, in my opinion, is also healthy. Sure, have one jam-packed day where you say, go to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in the afternoon, then you go play Warhammer in the evening, and then you go out to, the bar with your buddies, right? Absolutely, sure, whatever, right? But, like, at some point, you do have to kind of, like, sit down. And that's, once again, someone can be like, well, that flies, I'm more extroverted. I have more of an energy capacity, I don't necessarily tire out as fast. And that's fine. You're allowed to just go banger after banger after banger, day after day after day, right? It's a subjective thing. Like, I can see where people would criticize. I don't personally. Then again, I see where people would criticize how I try to take time off and how I try to do things and how I end up just usually working, because working in some capacity is kind of just monotonous and like relaxing to me in certain aspects. Yeah, as long as somebody's enjoying it, long as somebody sees value in it, I mean, why should it matter?
we did sort of have something special to do most of the days, as Echo scheduled while I sat sucking my thumb in the corner because planning things is scary, and I'm just a little guy. It's my first day. So we did at least have variety, not just constantly on mandatory fun mode. If anyone has ever had helicopter parents, you know what I mean by mandatory fun. This day, we planned to go to the Book Off Super Bazaar because I needed a second monitor to facilitate my work. See, I normally would bring my own monitor, but I've had nasty luck with every single time I fly with one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
How padded or protected it is, the airline will always manage to break or bend my stuff.
Awful.
So this time, I said, no more packing monitors. I'll just get one in Japan. And so we did. Book Off is basically a massive secondhand store with just about everything you can think of inside. From clothes, to bags, to musical instruments, to sporting equipment, it's got everything. We even found...
I wonder if they have the Resident Evil branded, like, collab airsoft guns there. I know they're big. I know they're really expensive, too. This is why I would, I say, if I ever went to Japan, because I would love to go to Japan, I would spend maybe a day or two, even 3 in Aki. I would probably spend a week, get it out of my system, but I would probably, go for like a month or something. I would like to do things outside of Tokyo because, I mean, there's just, I would love to go to Kyoto, actually, because that's where Pokemon Gen 2, right? Not Sun and Moon. Gold, Silver, Crystal, right? Isn't it based off Kyoto and the towers there? Like, that'd be super cool to go there. Like, there's a number of locations there that, like, sure, Tokyo, Aki, like the big the big everyone wants to go there, and that's fine. Like I think that's a like you go there because you go there to get it over with, or you go there just so you can enjoy the sights and stuff. But there's absolutely other places in Japan that you can connect to.
A few Pokemon plushes to bring home for some friends. What wasn't so great about it was that while we were browsing, we had a basket with a few items already, and at some point we accidentally crossed a section where that item was supposed to be stored in. And so it began beeping its alarm non-stop until an employee found us asking if we were going to buy it. In which case, we confirmed, apologized profusely, and immediately checked out so as to never bother them ever again.
I feel that. Amazing.
Oh, that's like a beignet.
Today was a special day. We were going to the Pokemon Center because I had planned on grabbing a bunch of plushies to give to friends back home since there's so many Pokemon and they're not always so easily available to buy if you're in the US. And in the cases where they are,
Yeah.
Anyway, it was really cool to see all the Pokemon merchandising. They had keychains and stickers and jewelry and dozens of other things I hadn't realized were even in the realm of possibility of what Pokemon could make into a branded product. What I really appreciate.
What merch do they have for the Berserk gene? The forgotten, that is Japanese copy of Pokemon. Oh my god. I actually saw that exact copy at a local game store. I've been picking up some foreign Japanese games just to be able to... Dude, it's so weird looking at this, because, like, that is the bottom center is the Fire and Leaf Green Pokemon Center. Oh my god. Wow, I've been in Pokemon a while. I mean, it's why I wanted to start Professor Kip as a channel, right? Alluding to how I used to be a professor and want to do it again, right? So many years in... Cynthia Battle top left in Diamond. Oh no, please. Oh, every time I hear that theme song. Wow. Oh, I always forget how much of my life I've spent in Pokemon. Wow. Okay. Sorry, I had to soft reset my brain there.
As someone who plays the games, though, was that the front of the store had a nice little mural with all the different generations of games being showcased. What wasn't so nice was they had Pikachu singing the Pokemon Center theme on repeat the entire time. And my heart goes out to all the employees who have to listen to it for 8+ hours a day, every day, all the time.
Yep.
At one point, it started to really get to us, and Echo started punching me in rhythm to the Pikachu cries. I don't get it. Pokemon has a...
This is why I love them. This is why they're just their peak. I absolutely love them. The Pokemon Sword and Shield, what is it? It's OST 6. It's the gym leader track. I think Jim Sterling used it for a couple of his bits. Oh my god. Mwah. Peak. That is peak.
Massive library of music. Please, just let the employees listen to something else. Free them from this yellow electric rat prison.
Amazing. Like Final Fantasy 14, JoCat. It's great.
The next few days were what I was personally looking forward to the most from this trip because they were lined with visits to a bunch of themed cafes. 2 of them being themed after my favorite video games, you may know of them.
Yes!
Today, though, it was the Final Fantasy 14 Eorzea Cafe in Akihabara.
Tell me, for whom do you fight? Oh god, I need my dopamine. I need to boot it up now.
Funny enough, the very same building also had a Dragon Quest cafe and one more themed cafe that we were going to tomorrow. But what really made this special was that we had the collab cafe queen herself, Emi Richu, with us too.
Nice.
She had already been to this cafe before, but being a 14 player, I was ready to drop some sick lore onto her ignorant mind. The cafe itself was really cool. They had 14 music playing, which was always nice.
I'm literally looking around because I'm expecting to just see Xenos. If you haven't heard me gush about Xenos, he is quite literally his entire arc from Stormblood through Endwalker, my actual favorite character in the entirety of fiction. Like, everyone has those characters they relate to on that personal level, right? I'm just shittier Xenos. You have to understand, right? I don't understand how people work. In fact, there's a scene in Endwalker where Xenos just shows up after ganking this monster, and he just kind of looks, and then like Alice and Co just kind of look at him, and they start going off on him. But he has this look of just like, he just stares at them. He's like, "Hi guys, how's it going? It is I." Oh, dude, I love Xenos. Xenos is actually like Oshi status. I love everything about that man. Like, he made 14 for me.
And the walls were covered in various official art and props evoking the game. I ordered the fired dodo, which was basically a deep-fried chicken leg.
Amazing.
And Hien's Big Blee acclaimed traditional cuisine of the mole tribe. A bunch of sausages and some potato wedges in a cast iron skillet. It was alright. Echo and Emily each got a fat cat meat bun. Emily also ordered the Raktika Greatwood Ayilo.
Can I get a lahi?
Ahilo, essentially a small shrimp ceviche.
Ceviche.
That's the one.
And all three of us shared a faux hollow chocolate toast, as well as the guild soaring cheese potatoes. Some cheese fries arranged like one of the attacks from the boss fight from Shadowbringers.
Yes.
The food was okay. My personal favorite were the...
I actually don't know what boss fight he's talking about.
Some cheese fries arranged like one of the attacks from the boss fight from Shadowbringers.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. To be fair, that's also why I don't really do videos on 14. Like, I'll talk about Xenos. I will say he's my absolute just favorite character, but I hold back in a lot of instances, right? Because it's different experiencing it, and it takes it away. If I explained who Gaius was and Gaius's story, does it necessarily make sense for somebody? I think it makes a lot more sense to just say, yeah, I like Gaius as a character. And then just, okay, well, I don't really see it. It's just like, I like Gaius as a character. It'll make sense eventually, right? What do you mean it makes sense eventually? Yeah, when you look back at the story, it'll make a lot of sense. What does that even mean? Like, 14 is one of those games where ARR is 100% that great filter, and I almost quit in A Realm Reborn. But it is so good to see other people gush about 14 in ways that I have, and also have just conversations about 14 as well. Like, I love it. It never does well, right? It's one of those things that I effectively do because I'm just passionate about it. But like any video, any VOD, any stream I've done hasn't really historically done well with 14. And I think a lot of that has to do with how big of a filter the game is. If you go in with an open mind and you understand that A Realm Reborn, and even parts of, and up through like Shadowbringers, right? Really, a lot of people liked the game when it got to Heavensward. Shadowbringers was kind of where most people say that the game kind of picked up for them, because Stormblood was very much it was set up for a lot of people. I mean, we've talked about on stream before. It's like ARR is kind of antiquated. It really doesn't have a modern parallel. Heavensward finished what ARR started in terms of like classes actually got fleshed out and stuff, right? As a tank main, right? That's where I get my warrior abilities. That's where you start getting your paladin abilities and stuff like that. Like, it finishes what the classes started. And then you get into Stormblood, which is kind of like this. You start to see modern Final Fantasy 14 get fleshed out. And that's when you get into, all the way through Shadowbringers and Endwalker, which is the end of an arc. And then you get into the new arc right now, which is Dawn Trail, which I had a couple narrative issues with, namely redacted and not being punished for redacted. I've been very vocal on that. But like, I mean, it's effectively just Stormblood 2.0. Modern Final Fantasy 14 starts at Stormblood. And I think that may help some people rationalize it. There's absolutely great moments in A Realm Reborn, right? Such devastation. It was not my intention. And then there's even amazing banger moments throughout Heavensward. Stormblood is really where the modern game starts to really take. I don't know what Shadowbringers boss he's talking about. I've done them all. I also just haven't done anything other than like Seed of Sacrifice or Dying Gasp in a hot minute.
Yes.
The food was okay. My personal favorite were the fries, but the real stars of the show were the drinks.
Oh, it's so cool.
Each one themed after a different character, location, or job from the game. In really clever ways, too.
Is that Asahi that I see? Oh, my boy in the bottom right. Oh, I need 3 of those, and I need someone to scream at me a test of your reflexes. Please, I need this.
I got the Gunbreaker and Crystal Tower. Echo got the White Mage and Crystal Tower. Emily got the Samurai and Dragoon, and each one was super cool and unique in how they were themed around their namesake. The Crystal Tower, for example, had this rock candy pillar sticking out of the drink, just like the tower itself. The Gunbreaker had popping candies that you could throw into the drink, like how Gunbreakers load cartridges into their gunblade. The White Mage had a cute little rose representing the blood lily you use to devastate all within your path.
So, because of Dawn Trail, and I didn't want to go through DPS queue, I literally had to learn to heal. I am a savagely aggressive White Mage. Like, if I see you down for the second or third time, you're gonna have to wait. Like, and that's not in like a troll. That's not in like a feeding kind of way. I am a very, very aggressive White Mage. It's really funny because I'm generally a pretty like reserved tank. I mean, like I paladined all through post Endwalker and even paladin through all of actually all of Dawn Trail. I think there was one section where I had like level up something, but like I love me some paladin. I do have to concede Warrior definitely won early Dawn Trail though. Good God, Warrior mains, you are cracked right now. But I have respect for your healers, especially your White Mages, because blood for the Blood Lily.
Samurai was basic and boring, just like the job in the game. But my favorite was the Dragoon, where you had a blueberry soaking in cherry syrup to represent the accursed eye of Nidhogg. And I was basically nerding out about all of this at both Echo and Emily the whole time we were eating. Each drink also came with some mystery coasters as well, which had extremely nice promotional art from the various characters, expansions, patches, and events from the game. Now, Emily had already been to this cafe before, but it was real fun as a person who actually plays the game to be able to share how much thought and fan service went into all the dishes and drinks in order to elevate them beyond just being named after their subjects.
100%. I love the Fat Cat plush, though. That's great. I literally would play 14 more if I had some sort of static or some sort of like group that I played with. I can only do so much solo content. I mean, like, I know I have the ability to do certain ultimates and stuff, but the issue is like just 1, work schedule, but 2, it's just like it just never ends up coming to fruition. I love this because it's whenever I talk about like Lord of the Rings, right? How I don't shut up. 14 is also one of those. I don't actually shut up when 14 comes on, especially when it's like there's so many cool conversations to be had, right? Like I've talked about how I've even changed people's minds about Xenos and Stormblood a little bit too. I'm not going to go into super heavy spoilers, but I know a lot of people have certain issues because of how he's presented, to which I'm like, okay, but this is why he's presented as such. Because, and this is the result of how his character was. But dude, I could go on for days. I'm gonna try to shut up now. Try is the keyword.
Want to see her review as a connoisseur of themed cafes? She actually did a video that included Eorzea Cafe, which you can find here in case you wanted to know her perspective as a general customer. As for me, though, I am extremely biased due to being a big fan of the game, so I absolutely loved it. Even so, I think it's very clear that a lot of love, effort, and expertise went into making this, not just as a good cafe on its own, but as a good piece of 14 fan service as well. And after we finished eating, Echo and Emily fought in a great battle to the death on who would pay for the check. We ultimately came out on top due to our superior numbers. And then was time for the gift shop, which had all manner of great merchandise. There were jobstone magnets and posters and plushies and all sorts of stuff. I grabbed a bunch of jobstones for my friends in the raid group. Shout out to the Glam Walkers. Thank you for being the coolest, most attractive bunch of players I could ever ask to raid with. But what really caught my eye were 2 beautiful lore books. The first and second edition of the Encyclopedia Eorzea. Volumes of
I actually need to pick up my copies. Thanks for reminding me, JoCat. Oh my god. Yeah, they're full of stuff. They're full of good stuff.
Information about the 14 world, including its history, cultures, down to minute details like each region's diet, and this stuff is like drugs to me, so I had to get them. It was only when I unwrapped and opened one later that day that I had realized the very stupid, and in hindsight, very obvious mistake that I had made.
Oh no.
I had just bought a lore book of a Japanese game.
In Japanese?
From a Japanese cafe in Japan.
Uh-huh.
What language did I think it was going to be in?
So hear me out, though. Hear me out. Because you get the English copy now, right? This is actually a banger idea. This is how you learn language, right? So if I wanted to learn something, if I wanted to learn Japanese, right? I mean, we can just pull Yu-Gi-Oh out of my arse, right? What does Pot Agreed do? Draw 2 cards. So you take the English on it, and then you look at, say, the Japanese version of it, and you notice what's similar. You learn sentence structure. It is a thematic way, right? Wink, wink. It's a thematic way of learning the language. And then you can say, yes, I got my Japanese copy from the Final Fantasy XIV Cafe in Japan. Oh, you didn't know this Final Fantasy XIV Cafe exists in Japan? Let me tell you about the Final Fantasy XIV Cafe in Japan. Did you know that this is a thing here, this is a thing here, this is a thing here? And yeah, I got this. And absolutely, this is actually how I learned to read Japanese. You could absolutely turn that into a hard W. And I'm for this.
They sadly didn't do refunds, which was fine, but it meant I had these massive books that I could not read because I'm stupid. I eventually gave them to my good friend Shenpai when we got home, but
Nice.
until then, I had 2 heavy, physical hardcover copies of Shame to lug halfway across the planet as a constant reminder of my hubris. After the cafe, though, we had a fun time exploring Akihabara, mostly playing at the arcades and spending a lot of change we had saved up over the past couple of weeks.
Hey, you got it!
Oh, you got on the first try.
So, this day was a bit hectic, but it was the nature of reserving spots for themed cafes. You'll know what I mean soon. First up on the agenda was the Monster Hunter Cafe. In
Yeah, I totally missed that one, which does make sense. I thought it was near for some reason.
the very exact same building as the Final Fantasy one. And Emily was happy to join us for this one too. And much as I love the Final Fantasy Cafe, and it was definitely impressive and kitted out, the Monster Hunter Cafe is the absolute pinnacle of what you can do with the idea. The venue was bigger, they had more seating space, there were way more and larger decorations all over the place, weapons and armor displayed everywhere. They even had a barbecue spit. Listen, I'm not saying the Final Fantasy Cafe wasn't a 5 out of 5. What I am saying is the Monster Hunter Cafe is a 6 out of 5. As for the food, Emily and I both ordered the Teostra Fire Mappo Chicken Katsudon, served with rice and curry. And I got what I believe to be mandatory for every hunter: the expertly cooked bone and meat. Yep, it's the well-done steak.
So good.
So tasty.
I love it.
Echo got the smoked salmon carpaccio, which was themed as an Arzuros' favorite food, and the Yomogi's special bunny dango. It's dango.
Amazing.
For drinks, I ordered the Mega Potion, which was a citrusy drink representing the main potion with additional syrups you could mix in, possibly to stand in for the buffing potions like hot and cold drinks or armor skin from the game. I personally only really added in the blue syrup, which was blue syrup according to the menu. Whatever.
I like this as an idea, though. So, unfortunately, I don't really have anything to speak on Monster Hunter because I've always known people around me who've played Monster Hunter. Like when I worked at the bistro kitchen kind of thing, kitchen theater hybrid kind of thing. Like I knew people who would play Monster Hunter on the 3DS and stuff. And then, as people have played some of the PC versions. I've always had people around me who've played it. And like I've tried a couple of times, but it just hasn't captured my interest. And then unfortunately the group just kind of moves on like within a week. Like I'm very much a product of I have way too many games. Some of those are me trying to play games with other people, and then they'll move on from the game in like, half a week to a week, right? Or I'm currently stuck on another project, so I can't get to it, and then it's like, nobody plays this game. So it's just a matter. It's like it's a matter of circumstance kind of thing. Monster Hunter is definitely on my list though, because I hear it's a great series. I don't think there's necessarily a bad entry in the series. I think one of the PC ones was it World or Wild? I can't remember. It was the DLC with the grapple mechanic. I don't remember which one that was. I think that got a little bit of flack for stuff. But like, I mean, look, at this point, when I boot up a game, like Path of Exile 2, and I'm like, wow, this game doesn't crash every 5 seconds. This game's frame rate is stable. Bro, my bar for success is so low, and I'm very, very consistently let down, and it makes me really sad. So if Monster Hunter can at least hit that, I'm going to have a great time. It'll be great.
That means. The other two were not my cup of tea. Emily got the Ray's Wing Ratha, which was a strawberry soda with cola popping candy and more of that mysterious blue syrup, while Echo had the Kagero Violet Tea, an iced tea with soda and violet syrup. I still had room for food, but withheld because we had plans to go to another cafe soon after this one. Why? I'll get to it, but Echo was ballsy enough to order a dessert because she has a sweet tooth that must be sated or else she'll explode. So she got the Kirin Lightning Strike Parfait G, which is the G-rank version of a much smaller, inferior parfait, I presume. Funny enough, it had the exact same kind of rock candy that was used in the Crystal Tower drink from the Eorzea Cafe.
So this makes me think in terms of like production, right? Because I mean, I was the lead in the kitchen, so I had to do some ordering and stuff like that. And I got certain things got divvied out in certain things. Not that I'm like, well, I worked in this Gordon Ramsay kitchen, I worked in this prestigious establishment. No, like just from a order standpoint, using my limited experience as a reference. I mean, that would make a lot of sense, right? It would make it so that way if, say, the Eorzea Cafe ran out of Crystal Tower, blue sugar rock candy kind of thing, you could probably, cross it. It's logistically, this just makes sense, is what I'm trying to say with more words than I should, right? Like, logistically, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like that's a cost-cutting measure. Like that's a like cost-saving measure that I can absolutely firmly get behind. I think this is great.
Thusly, I conclude that the Crystal Tower is a massive Kirin horn and that one day Eorzea will face a very rude awakening when they find the ginormous horse buried under Mordona. Overall, this cafe was amazing, and I actually have a hard time deciding if I like it more than the Eorzea Cafe. The presentation was definitely a step up, but it's not like the Eorzea Cafe was lacking in the visual department. If I had to pick a favorite, I think Eorzea just about beats it out on account that I think I preferred the food and drinks on their menu just a bit more than the Monster Hunter one. The steak was middling, and the chicken katsu, although good, I feel I could get chicken katsu like it anywhere. So why was I saving my appetite? Well, because an hour after our time at Monster Hunter was finished, we needed to get to the Kirby Cafe by the Sky Tree.
The what?
Because that was literally the only time we were able to nab when reservations opened up. I remember staying up at 3 a.m. to help Echo book this thing, and having 2 or 3 of our selections immediately getting snatched up by someone before we finally got one. We tried to book a 3-person seat so Emily could be included, but every single 3-person slot was booked immediately. And I mean immediately. Not to mention, you have to include your name in Japanese. So Echo and I were frantically trying to translate our names so that we could type it out in katakana. It was probably the most stress our relationship has ever been under. Thankfully, we did secure the spot, but the only time slot we could safely grab was unfortunately only 2 hours after the Monster Hunter Cafe, and we weren't able to include Emily, who is very understanding and didn't mind. Thank you for your sacrifice so that we could enjoy Kirby. So off we went, walking fast, curb-bound to the subway. On the bright side, the trip had very few to no interruptions, and we actually managed to make it there early. We got a seat inside not too long after, and this place, although small, was very cute. At the front, we got to take pictures with a giant plate while wielding a giant fork and spoon next to Chef Kirby and Waddle Dee, and decorating the center of the cafe was Wispy Woods, the most beat-up Kirby boss of all time. My favorite part of the cafe was the atmosphere. Some jazzy Kirby tracks were being played all the while we were there. For our meals,
it's super atmospheric. I love it. I mean, I don't think I've played a single Kirby game, which is unfortunate. Like, I know there were games on the GameCube like Kirby Air Rider, but I just never actually played it. I've always been on that Pokemon side of things. Not that I'm against Kirby. I just don't know a good jumping off point. I don't know, or I guess jumping in point, right? I know Vinny Vinesauce played Kirby and the Crystal Shards, and I guess there's a secret ending, and that looked pretty cool from what I remember of it. It's just kind of one of those, like, where do you begin? But then again, I've literally started Warhammer, and I'm just like, nah, I'm picking the Eldari. Grats. I'm playing funny space weebs. Yeah, no, I like the Red Scorpions. All of you are inferior because our gene seed is pure, and we have more apothecaries, right? And obviously, I'm just shitposting and having good fun, right? Like, if I can do that with pretty much anything, I mean, so I can do it with Turby as well. It's just a matter of finding the right jumping in point, picking something in general to to fixate on, and then just going for it and then learning everything around it, right? I mean, that's at least how I get into things and how I learn things and how I come with a not subpar knowledge. I mean, it's how I got into 14, right? Trying to think of like actual like how high tier content would work and how high tier content would play. That's like me thinking about like in A Realm Reborn, doing some dungeons and trying to compare it to like what inevitably would become like dead ends, right? And I'm just like, yeah, well, I got to get ready for this though. I got to make sure my lightning uptime is Black Mage is like 80% or higher. And it's like, Kip, stop, please, just play the game first. Don't stop. Once again, we're on 14 again.
Echo ordered the Waddle Dee lunchbox, which had a salmon and avocado rice bowl, while I had the Kirby lunchbox, which was another rice bowl, but with hamburger steaks and lots of veggies. I split it with Echo because I didn't quite like half the contents of the bowl, and I may not have been the only one because it's apparently a beef bowl now instead, which
nice.
I would have much preferred. Thankfully, it wasn't the only thing I had to eat, as I ordered the Kirby burger that came with pasta and corn potash. The pasta and corn potash were good. The burger was not. The bun was and the meat tasted dry. Echo said the salmon and avocado bowl was the best restaurant food she had ever had. Wow. But now, we faced a new problem. Having eaten at 2 cafes in just a few hours, we were stuffed. But Echo was determined to not leave until she had a dessert. We almost got the Carby cake, but it was strawberry flavored, and I am not a fan, so Echo would have had to eat the whole thing herself, which was
my inner Kit moment was like, sacrifices must be made. The Carby cake must be eaten.
Not happening. She got the Kirby's fluffy pancakes instead, which was still strawberry, but far more manageable for one person.
Yeah.
I helped a bit with the sides, though. Echo says it was okay, but no regrets. Aww. And then it was off to the gift shop, which had tons of adorable Kirby memorabilia. And most importantly, Kirby Gachapon. Overall, it was a pretty good cafe, but I feel the food, at least aside from a few standout dishes, could have been better. The change in menu items since we've been there probably indicates that they were thinking or being told the same thing. What else that was nice about the Kirby Cafe is that it was directly connected to the Skytree Mall, to the point the exit out of the gift shop leads directly into the mall itself. So we browsed the mall a bit, made some impulse purchases, walked off to
I love all the cameos. Like these people in the people in the background that he's drawing, he's clearly drawing with like features and stuff. I feel like they're cameos. I don't know like 90% of them, but it's super cool to see that like it's just an insert in the video. Like it's so cool. JoCat is always someone that I've really respected. And I know some people have always kind of harped on him for one reason. I think the 40K community tries to really harp on him. I know very little about it, right? I know very little about the situation. Summarizing what best I know is like, I guess he tried to change, was it the Cadians or something? He tried to be like, well, why would they, die for a cause? Look, the 40K community is going to perpetually shoo away new interest in the hobby by just shooting themselves in the foot. Now, I, as a self-proclaimed tourist extraordinaire, don't really care about the lore, right? Sure, grats. Like, well, yes and no, right? Like, I'm not coming in to change the lore, which is really funny because even saying I'm not coming in to change the lore and coming in and saying very specifically, why am I going to care about femstodes when I just want to play the game? It's like I shot someone's dog. It is just such a disproportionate and inappropriate response from people. And that's the thing, is that just collectively, I'll go to a Games Workshop, tell people about like an actual store, and we just laugh at these people on the internet. Like this is quite literally making your own problems. So now that I've got that off my chest, so to speak, it's like, I get it. If someone wants to come in and try to change your fandom, I get it. Like, what authority are you doing it on, right? But like, just cool it. Like, read the room. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just people trying to be hyper accountable. I know it's online screechers. At the end of the day, like, if someone's finding joy in something, it doesn't even have to be 40K. If someone's finding joy in something, let them find joy in it. Now, if they're just purposely trying to insert themselves or misrepresenting it, giving a bad image of it without taking certain things into account, right? Okay, let's have a discussion then, right? There was a big Destiny video that came up by Aztecross, being Destiny being like pay to win or pay to what was it? It being effectively a free trial with a paid game, and you had big React content creators latching onto it with points that I'm like, verifiably, this is stretching the truth, if not outright being misrepresentation of the final product. But then big reactors are latching onto this and be like, oh, this is fact, right? Like, yes, have your issues with stuff like that. But at the end of the day, just let people enjoy it, right? I'm certain that, a lot of people aren't there to really shoo you out of a hobby. At the same time, a lot of the Games Workshop people that I seem to just interact with online that seem to comment, and I'm just this absolute just antichrist to everything they stand for, go to a Games Workshop. Actually, just go to a physical store. Talk to people. Like, that's the best advice I can give you, because they are honestly some of the coolest people I've ever chatted with, and they don't give a crap about half the stuff people online care about. It's weird to me.
2 cafes worth of food, and overall had a nice time out. Back-to-back experiences aside, I'm still glad we got to do them both. At some point, while we were hanging out with Emily, there was a conversation along the lines of,
Oh, Echo, you like Sanrio? Are you planning to visit the Cinema Roll Cafe?
There's a Cinema Roll Cafe?
Amazing.
So today we went to the Cinema Roll Cafe in the Shinjuku Mall. It was a walk-in, so no reservations needed. It was also fairly small, but not very packed, so we were able to get seating fairly quickly. Sitting all around the cafe were some cute little Cinema Roll plushes, which gave me anxiety, considered there were some very stain-prone food around, and the boys basically a canvas waiting to be painted on. Regardless, I got the spaghetti with meat sauce that was apparently a collaboration at the time with Totonu Konu, who is apparently a character from the manga Don't Call It a Mystery. I have no idea what the manga is about. I am only learning about this now as I am writing this script.
I'm so far behind on modern anime and manga. I really am. It's not even that I don't like, because I clearly like things like Code Geass is my favorite anime of all time. I liked Gundam 00. Insane. Wow, Kip, you're quite behind. That's like 2010s. Yeah, you would be wrong on that. Just has to sell it to me, right? I mean, I come from a time where like Full Metal Alchemist, Trigun, Shin-Chan even, right? I mean, like there were anime, right? Ghost Stories. I think it was a little before I was into it. But even Inuyasha was a big one on Adult Swim in the mornings, right? I used to watch that before I went to middle school in the morning. Like anime just wasn't as widespread in the States as it is now. It's honestly a little weird to me because I played the Naruto CCG, right? I've made no secret of this, right? I own my copy of, I actually own 2 copies of Sage Moon. One's in German, which, God, don't ask me to pronounce how half that shit is worded. Oh my God. I love German as a language. It is a crime against humanity every time I try to speak German, and I have to apologize to the entire nation of Germany because I butcher it every time. But like, I remember when I got bullied for that, and I'm just like, yeah, so I'll just be this closet, anime person. Or just I wear it on my shoulder, but just, expect to just get bullied. And now it's just like, here's this Naruto t-shirt just out in the mall and people are wearing anime merch like Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff. And I'm just like, wow, times have changed. I got bullied for that. I got bullied for playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In high school. What do you mean this is popular now? It's such a culture shock to me. So like, even then, like things like Sanrio have been around too, right? Hello Kitty and stuff being popular. It's so weird because certain things I just don't really have a reference point for. It's not that I can't appreciate it. It's not that I hate it in any capacity. I just don't have that exposure or that reference point.
Meanwhile, got the blue curry in the sky, which was a pretty basic rice and curry dish with a few bits of meat thrown in. For drinks, I got some sort of blue drink, of which I cannot for the life of me find what it was called, but I remember it being okay. While Echo got this mustache drink, the Vienne coffee. We also both got a dessert since we didn't really have anywhere else to be that day, so might as well. I got a stack of pancakes while Echo got a parfait. Basically, all the food at this cafe was really, really good, so props to the cooks.
There was an adorable little corner merch store that had a load of roll-themed items, and I had to hold Echo back from grabbing just about everything off of the shelves.
It was a humble little cafe that was nice enough to stop for food. Now, after we were...
Is that Iron Mouse? I think that's Iron Mouse. Yeah! Always good to see Iron Mouse somewhere.
Done, though, it was time for our special thing. So I mentioned earlier that Echo was collecting the 100 yen coins each time we got change. It wasn't just to make some of our transactions a nice even amount, although we did do that sometimes, but more specifically, to save them all for one very important thing.
What is my purpose?
Gachapon. Let's go!
Yep.
Today was our designated Gachapon day, where we would be spending pretty much all of our saved up change. About 20,000 yen's worth.
Wow! literally ballin', but at what cost? I also like that they budgeted for this. The correct term would be budgeting, right? They are budgeting and allocating their change specifically for this. And that's how you can do it guilt-free.
Half of the day was dedicated to feeding gachapon machines and collecting their precious little toy poops. We were ecologists on the hunt, and our quarry was a wilderness of plastic. We bounced around both the Shinjuku Mall and the arcades in Akihabara, basically until there were no more machines we were interested in. And we got loads of cute little things that will forever decorate our house and accessories.
So good. Amazing.
Once we did have our fill of choking hazards, the wallet abuse was not over. You see, we were at an arcade.
Oh no. Miku! I always feel bad when Hatsune Miku comes up. Not because I dislike it, but I'm such a large Luca fan. Like Megurine Luca. I'm such a huge Luca fan. I adore her aesthetic. I also love the whole thing of like, what was it? Because she settled on a fish, right? I think it was a tuna. But there was a period of time where Luca's item, because Miku has a leak, right? Luca's item wasn't set in stone, so I think people were giving her like Soul Edge and like Soul Calibur and stuff until eventually it got settled on a tuna. Oh my god, I don't know. I've always aesthetically liked Luca a lot better. She's more mature. I like her design, hair as well, pink, black and gold being like three of my favorite colors of all time. So not that I don't dislike Miku, I just like Luca a lot better.
And although the gachapon was no longer interesting us, the various prize games were still ripe.
The Waba Pit.
And not to brag, but I was a master of crane games.
Nice.
On more than one occasion, I managed to first try prizes that were giving Echo tons of trouble. What can I say? I have magic fingers. It was a good
That's a JoCat out of context moment.
day, and makes me wish we had these kinds of arcades in America.
Yeah.
I want this meat.
It's such a cute meat.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It only took 5.
Oh, it's so
Yay,
cute. Look,
round
you can
meat.
take the bone out.
Round meat.
Amazing.
Oh, that's suggestive.
Yes, I was gonna say that looks very sphincterous.
I mean, what was it? I was working in a kitchen, the kitchen I was talking about earlier at the time. Something. How many ways is there to actually make something, right? Generally, things will develop in some way, shape, or form of shoving an object into a hole, right? Just from a mechanic standpoint, not even an innuendo standpoint. Right? From a mechanical standpoint, how many things are just shoving a thing into a hole, right? When you start to think about how many things just use that concept, I mean, at a certain point, it stops losing all innuendo, any sort of other meaning. It's just like, nah, this is just how this works. This is just how physics, just how humans. Oh.
All throughout our trip, we often would stop by any restaurant we'd come by that looked interesting to get food. Unfortunately, sometimes that can be playing Russian roulette with your stomach.
Yeah.
And because of this, at some point, I had unknowingly eaten something bad, and I got food poisoning, which laid me out for nearly the whole week. I would spend the following 4 days in bed, doing nothing but sleeping and occasionally messing up the bathroom.
But not me. This is my video now. Ha ha!
Video has been hijacked successfully. Let's go. Sorry, JoCat. Yeah, no, that's not fun. Especially when you get violently ill. Definitely not fun. Hi, Dipper.
I went to Daiso and I got a bunch of meds to try and help him feel better because there wasn't much I could do to heal him otherwise. So I decided to go out and have a girl day. That way he could just have the room to himself. I went to an IKEA and I got a hamper. I also went to Don Quixote, which is this huge superstore where I got some really cool colored contacts. But then at one point my phone nearly died, so I had to hunt down a McDonald's specifically so I could charge it because I know they have outlets and charging stations. Once I felt like my phone was charged enough that I could use Google Maps to get home, I made my way out to the train station, and
That girl DM in the background.
then halfway there, I realized that I forgot my bag, my contacts, and
I was curious about that. I saw the bag on the ground. I was going to comment on that.
everything that I just bought at the McDonald's. So I took off running back to the McDonald's, desperately hoping that no one stole all of my stuff. It was all exactly where I left it. Should I explain what the Big Pooh is here?
No.
Okay. I also went out and I scouted the Big Pooh, also known as the Asahi Beer Hall, for some super secret plans I have later.
Scoot. So yeah, I was out of commission for 4 days. To the point we basically had to cancel any plans we had for that week.
Unfortunate, but sometimes you just got to, the I Love Girls, yes! That's how you own it, right? That's how you own it. That's how you absolutely tell the haters to get bent, and I kind of love that.
Another day for me to rest. And although it did suck that I basically had to give up a couple of days of this vacation, we even had to cancel going to a ramen festival we had planned. What really sucked on top of it all was the weight loss.
Yeah.
I've never really shared this part of myself publicly because it's kind of an insecurity of mine, but I've always had a hard time staying at a healthy weight. I used to be underweight fairly often as a kid, and although I'm doing a lot better now, I'm still a decent few pounds short of where I'd like to be. It doesn't help that my main job involves sitting at a computer for hours, and my main hobby involves sitting in front of a television for hours. And I just picked up another hobby that involves me sitting at a craft desk.
God, that goes so hard. See, this is the funny part, is that you will have people absolutely screech to you about femstodes, but they don't buy the product and they don't play the game. And that's one of those things where I have no shame in saying it at that point. It is one of those cathartic things to absolutely just sling it back at some of these haters. Because that is peak. That is great. I wonder what he did to do that. I don't know if he dry brushed or not. That is fantastic. This is what we need to champion in 40K. Absolutely. And it's also a read the room thing. It's an appropriate thing, right? Hey, we're talking about 40K. We're talking about the lore. No, we're not talking about the lore. We're talking about gameplay. Well, but this thing about the lore. Have you read the room, my guy? Okay, I'm an online dingus, okay? I'm a dingus on the internet, right? Also, literally on the spicy tism spectrum, okay? In some capacity, right? I'm that neuro-spicy individual. If I can read the room better than you, we have a problem, and that is a certified skill issue. That goes hard. A+ JoCat.
For hours. I sit around a lot. But since our trip began, I had been eating 3 to 4 meals a day regularly, walking everywhere, going up and down stairs all the time, carrying around all our prizes and souvenirs. I'm not saying it was a workout, but it definitely put me on a healthier routine, and I actually started to gain some healthy weight, which is why it was extra sad that while I was resting up, I could only stomach eating like 2 crackers for a given day, because anything else would have been too much for me. And so I had lost a lot of the weight that I had gained, which was kind of sad.
Why not exercise at home?
That's the one. So that is a thing that people do struggle with, though. I mean, I struggle with being overweight. I mean, I don't stream on... One, I do it for security, right? I don't think people want to see my ugly mug anyways. 2, I definitely got that little bit of a beer belly going on. I joke that I have Nezarec Dadbog from Destiny 2, right? So I have the inverse problem of, like, I sit at my desk all day. I do things all day. Sure, I'll do things like sword fight. Sure, I'll do things like I'll go out and get some social time when I can because, you know, I'll go to, like, the 40K store or something like that. But even then, even when I walk, even when I sword fight, even when I do things, like, part of it's stress, I guarantee it. Part of it's definitely stress. But, like, yeah, getting weight down is my struggle. And I know there's going to be that percentage of people like, well, man, I wish I was underweight. But you have to understand that it comes with its own struggles. And it also takes away from people that may or may not have body dysmorphia. I'm not saying JoCat does or doesn't, right? There are some people that will, though. It takes away from people who do have genuine insecurities about it. And there are people who do struggle to put on weight. That is a very valid thing. And a lot of people feel really bad about that. So it's just understanding your own body and understanding that your own body is fine. I mean, I think there is absolutely a point. I mean, there can be an absolute discussion to be had about, well, okay, you're 600 pounds and, you know, let's have a chat about that, right? Like what can we do, right? I think that there's absolutely unhealthy weights. And I'm trying to put this as kindly as I can, right? But that being said, I mean, is there something lifestyle choice wise that can, you can turn your life around? Can you fix it? Are you able to address it? That being said, is it an actual, say, like a thyroid issue? Like, is this something that is just not fixable, right? And that's subjective, right? I'm no medical doctor. I'm a dingus on the internet. I can't assess your situation, nor do I have any right to assess your situation. Everyone's own situation is unique, and it's really strong of him to talk about an insecurity on the internet as often as the internet tries to clown on him. Like, it's not fair for anyone to go through, if I'm being completely honest. But A+ on him. Very brave of JoCat, 100%. And good in outlining that, like, yeah, this is a valid struggle that people can and will go through. 100%.
Today I was feeling marginally better, but a bit under the weather still. We finally got Beef Bowl, which I am still surprised it took that long to finally stop by a place, considering I would tug at Echo each time we passed by, asking if we could go, please, please, please. And I'm not kidding. Tied with the yakitori place, Beef Bowl is probably my #1 favorite thing to eat ever. To the point we proceeded to go there the next 3 days in a row.
Amazing.
I love it so much. We now make Beef Bowl at home in America. And although it's not nearly as good, I still love it.
I've never heard of this. I think I've heard it. I've never known what it is. The grape. Oh, it's so good. I will have to look into this because this looks really good.
Bowl, my beloved.
Amazing.
Since I was feeling almost back to 100%, we decided to celebrate. We would spend the day at the arcade. And can I just go on another happy tangent real quick and say I love Japanese arcades. Sure, we have a few back home in the US, and they're fine and all.
That's Sarue?
But something about the fact so many of the ones in Japan have prizes.
Is that an AdMech? What is that? It almost looks like the rows of an Adeptus Mechanicus, but it's got, is that what the green is supposed to be? An AdMech eye? What is that?
Attached? I don't know. I want more of them. Echo too. Maybe even more so. It's kind of dangerous. We spent so much time and energy trying to get this one bunny suit Chika Fujiwara. We don't even watch or read Love is War. Echo just really wanted it and got so tantalizingly close. But we ultimately gave up when we had spent a collective 30 tries, which probably amounted to the same amount of money it would have cost just to buy the figure.
Yeah.
But to Echo, it wasn't about the figure. It was never about the figure. It was about winning.
Yes.
What I personally love about the arcades is they almost always had a taiko machine. And I love taiko. I love rhythm games, but especially taiko. Something about having physical sticks to bang the drums. Plus, whoever's in charge of licensing the music for the game did a fantastic job because they have banger after certified banger. They even got Klonoa tracks in there. That's how you know it's a good game.
Amazing. Never really dealt with taiko. I've heard a lot of good things about it, though.
One thing I
Place.
feel important to mention, I've been talking positively about my and Echo's experiences so far, because it was positive. But make no mistake, we have no delusions that Japan is some perfect paradise.
No.
Like any country, it has its own social, economic, and political issues. Its work culture, its rocky history with women and LGBT people, the state of its economy, and that these are problems that Japanese people are entirely aware of as well. I'm not bringing anything new to the table here.
And that's really what it comes down to for me, is I will always be a gaijin, a foreign person, right? As far as I'm aware, if I were to actually go through with my plan of wanting to move to Japan, I cannot in my current state, because doing internet work, I don't think that flies on a visa, which is perfectly fine. Like, what do I add to their economy? That is also with the understanding that, yeah, I am a foreign person. I am an outsider. That's something that I would just have to understand and have to go through. Also, the Japanese work week is also an issue. The Japanese work week in regards to people literally working themselves into the grave, which, I mean, some days I do, honestly. Like, some days I will just skip work, eating, breaks, sleep even to get work done. So I can at least empathize on with what fraction that I do. No, he's absolutely right. There are absolutely issues there, 100%. And that's just the stuff on the surface as well. Like, I'm sure there's organizations there that deal in certain trades, deal in certain substances, deal in certain commodities, services, if you will. I'm sure that those are all issues as well. But then again, is it necessarily about the place in general, or is it what you can live with, right? And I think that's what it comes down to. I think that as much as I'd love to go actually just like buy dilapidated Japanese shrine, right? Come into money, buy Japanese dilapidated shrine, do my best to acclimate to Japan, right? And just kind of do my own thing while supporting, people in the country in what way I can, right? That's not necessarily how that works. And I don't think that me living in Japan would really be ideal. No, he's absolutely. I'm actually really interested that he touched upon the some other things, especially even mentioning politics, because a lot of creators will shy away from it. I mean, I've talked about a number of serious topics on a number of occasions. I'm not going to be shy about that. And honestly, it's a big stressor for me because it's like, I like videos like this. I like videos like JoCat puts out because it's such a fun twist on things. It's such a nice breath of fresh air from, well, this person did this on the internet today, and this is the new thing with Johnny Somali, and this is the new thing that you need to hear about, and this and this and this and this, and it's just it gets too overbearing. Like, I've tried drama content, it doesn't work for me. I've tried being some sort of common sense figure, that doesn't work as well. When everything it feels like you do is wrong, it's really cool to just take a look at things like this, videos like this, and really just see a different perspective, and even a positive perspective at that, from someone who's generally pretty positive. I feel like I failed in a lot of aspects objectively because I can't be positive like JoCat 100% of the time. I can't be positive like Badger. I can't be positive like Maxor. And that also reflects not only in my work, but my standing as well, right? I kind of do my own thing on the internet. I'm not really tied to a single group. I haven't really made friends, and that's not to be a woe is me moment. Like, I understand where my place is. I understand what people look for in others, and I understand that I really don't offer anything. I am a dingus on the internet who can be very opinionated and tries to be well-read, but at the end of the day is kind of just a Debbie Downer. I totally get it. So just interesting to see, talking about the other side of things here.
Personally don't feel informed or qualified enough to speak on them, as I'm just a foreigner. I am by no means trying to romanticize Japan. I'm also not trying to say that America is that much better either. We got our own problems, and some of this is the pot calling the kettle black. I lived the first 11 years of my life in an Asian country. I know firsthand what differences in culture a few thousand miles of land can be. We just wanted to enjoy that freshness of a different culture for a bit before returning to our normal lives. Not trying to say anything more than that. But I just wanted to mention that somewhere in here, in case people got the wrong idea that this video is Japan good, America bad.
So did he have to necessarily add that? No. I like that he added that. And I know a lot of people are going to get screechy over it, which is really unfortunate. I liked that. And that was a very common sense perspective, right? It's like I've said, not only in this video, but other videos as well. It's what can you live with? If everywhere has its issues, it's what issues are you willing to deal with, right? If I move to Germany versus if I move to the UK versus if I move to, say, Belgium versus if I move to Japan, if I move to South Korea, right? If I move to Vietnam, right? I mean, any country that I can move to, it will come with its own issues. It's just an inherent given. It's what are you willing to deal with, right? You can move to Germany. Are you okay keeping your firearms locked at the range? Yes, no. Are you okay with dealing with certain UK politics, right? Are you okay with dealing with their House of Commons, House of Lords? Yes, no, right? I mean, number of things you can insert there as problem, question mark. It's understand, and that leads earlier into the evils of humanity argument, right? Understand, you can understand what people are. What are you willing to accept? I'm not willing to accept that everyone is inherently evil. I'm not willing to accept that just everyone is going to be this just awful person. There are those people who are the difference for all intents and purposes. It's no different than writing a paper, right? If you're writing a paper on X subject, right? Do you not inform yourself on X1, X2, X3, X4, X5, and then write the paper on X? You're taking in all the information, and you're coming to your own conclusions about it, and even your own solutions about it, right? And then you're sharing it, right? That's literally all that is. That's what you do in school.
Today was a very special day for Echo because we were finally going to Sakaido, which is a massive art supply and stationery store where I had to hunt her down several times because she kept escaping to look at another random part of the store. And who could blame her? This place was full of so many tempting supplies to grab. Hell, I haven't touched anything traditional in years and I still fell victim to the allure of shiny new art supplies. And so I grabbed some cute little stamps, sketchbooks, and even had a few reference books for poses and outfit designs.
Nice.
This one's my favorite. The building itself was structured into having several floors, each floor specifically containing a certain kind of art supply. Like, the bottom floor was for stamps, stickers, and sketchbooks. The next floor would be something like paper of various weights, thickness, and material. And the next floor would be all pens, pencils, scissors, and paper guillotines. It was an artist's wallet's nightmare. If you want to see specifically each and every item we got, and also a few more art stuff we came across just during our stay, Echo actually has a video going through each and every one of them. It was about this time as well that we were thinking, despite coming here with plenty of space in one of our suitcases for all the stuff we wanted to take back home, with how heavy all our things were getting and how much space it was all taken up, we would likely need to buy another one. And eventually did. Thankfully, we only needed that one.
Thankfully, yeah. That
Today was
PS1
real special, though not one that we planned. So Echo really wanted to go to the Asahi Beer Hall. Asahi being one of the largest drink producing companies in Japan. Think the Coca-Cola Company or PepsiCo if they also produced alcoholic drinks. They're also responsible for my new favorite drink of all time now, melon cream Calpis soda, which I would have to grab anytime I saw it in a vending machine, no matter what. Seriously, if anyone knows how I can get this in the US, please tell me. Anyway, being
never had this. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for this.
such a massive company, they have a couple of massive buildings in Sumida by the river, which are supposed to symbolize a tall glass of beer and what I assume to be a shot glass with foam whisking over the top of it, tapping together for a cheers. And yeah, it's supposed to look like foam. Yeah. At least that's the intention, but...
Oh no!
Echo wanted to go to the Sky Room, a restaurant they had at the very tippy top of the beer glass, which has a gorgeous view of Tokyo. The food there was okay, nothing mind-blowing, but a pleasant enough meal. I had a sausage link and some pizza, while Echo got a couple of alcoholic drinks because she was very nervous for some reason. And it was there, while we were enjoying our food, looking out over the beautiful Tokyo skyline, that I was thinking out loud. This would have been a great place for me to propose. Sorry I don't have a ring, but we'll consider this our engagement trip if that's okay.
Is he actually pulling anime main character? Oh my god. This is amazing. This is actually perfect. Oh my god. This is the content I crave.
Heart is like a jar of pickles. Kinda sour, kinda sweet, soaked in brine.
She's so legit. Oh, they're so good together.
No sandwich to pair with, lower than a side dish, no deep fry that I can call mine. My heart
I love the two of them. They are just perfect.
is like a jar of capers. A ball of salt won't go by itself. No pasta to compliment, contemplating time spent sitting on the market shelf.
So yeah, Echo proposed to me right then and there. Look it, we took pictures. A place
That is quite literally like that's amazing. That is so amazing. Like that is how you make a story. That is how you make it memorable. That is so unbelievably cool. That is amazing.
we would highly recommend if you're ever in Tokyo. Thank you, Asahi Sky Room.
Amazing. Perfect.
We wandered the city a bit more, and when we were hungry again, decided to stop by a ramen place at the recommendation of my best friend, buddy, pal, friendo, Shenpai. Hey, look at that, you're in the video 2 times in a row. It was called Ichiran, and it was located in Shibuya, the big city. It was quite a long line when we got there too, but when you go in, they assign you a seat along this lineup, where each person has their own little space to eat ramen. And in the center is where they took your order to prep food. They give you a little paper menu where you get to pick your noodle size, firmness, how much broth you want, the concentration of the broth, how many contents of food you want in it, the works. And I know I've said this a lot for a lot of the food here in Japan, but this is the best noodle dish I have ever eaten.
Amazing.
In my life.
Gyokutsu Ramen.
Thank you so much, Shen, for recommending this place. Echo and I were lamenting on the verge of tears recalling this park to write for the video because the noodles were just that good.
Amazing.
Speaking of food, today Echo wanted to go to a very specific onigiri place called Onigiri Bongo in Toshima, which was a bit out of the ways from where we were staying, but Echo insisted we had to go. And she wasn't the only one, because when we got there, there was a hefty line to get in.
Like, we thought the ramen place was long. This was long.
This place had a reputation for being probably the best onigiri
I was gonna say, is that Connor? Oh, dude, I love. He just shows up everywhere. He's just such a cool dude.
place around. And you could tell because we got there at around early evening time, and by the time we finally made it in, the sun was gone. And
Nice.
credit to them, the rice balls were absolutely delicious. Was it worth waiting several hours? Echo thinks so. She sure does.
Nice.
She says it was worth it. That's what Echo says. I'm not saying they weren't delicious. Probably the best onigiri I have ever had. Would I be willing to wait the 2 to 3 hours again? We'll be ordering online next time.
That's the one.
The final special planned event for our trip, the Ghibli Museum, which we weren't able to get any pictures for since they had a no camera policy once you were
Right.
inside the building. We were able to take some of the outside, which still looked beautiful, what with all the greenery and overgrowth around the building. If you don't know Studio Ghibli, yes you do, shut up liar, inside were various
I mean, like, I know very few films. Like, I saw Ponyo in theaters when it was in the States, right? But I mean, Howl's Moving Castle. I mean, I saw bits and pieces of it a couple times. Have not seen Nazca in the Valley of the Wind. I've seen very little of their backlog, which is absolutely going to make someone rage. It's kind of like when I say I haven't seen Scarface, I haven't seen Terminator, I haven't seen RoboCop. I don't watch movies. Movies are kind of one of those personal things that I like being with people to watch movies. And having to kind of just do my own thing for a number of years. I mean, like, let's take my crippling addiction to like Game Boy games stuff. I can quite literally fund small tournaments with the Yu-Gi-Oh decks I own, the Pokemon cards that I own. Like, I own 2 copies of Emerald, 1 Japanese copy of Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, Fire Red, Leaf Green, Japanese Fire Red. I think I have, no, I don't have Japanese Leaf Green yet. But it's like, why do I need all that? Because I want to do things with people. But unfortunately, it's just, that's not how life works, so I have to make my own fun, that kind of thing. And movies are just one of those. Like, I also don't have the right tism for it, if that makes sense. Like, I have a buddy, like, he has to have something going on across 3 monitors at all time. He cannot stop. If I'm, like, watching this, and this is why I react in the way I do, if that makes sense, where if I'm reacting to something, I can't be in another window playing RuneScape. I can't be in another window doing anything. So reactions take a lot of time, especially when I have longer reactions like this, because this is, for all intents and purposes, my focus, right? Maybe if someone needs me, maybe I open Discord or something like that, right? But, like, even then, like, I can't, like, read and then listen, right? I don't have the ability to multitask like that. Now I can put on background noise, right? Like, sure, I'll absolutely watch, like, Star Wars Return of the Jedi or, like, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Like, I'll put it on the background because I've seen it and it kind of becomes that white noise kind of thing. But I have to be engaged in, like, one thing. But that one thing, I will be hyper, like, into, right? It's why I can bust through, like, what did I bust through the other day? I busted through, like, 4 blister packs of Eldari and then, like, 1 Eldari Warwalker. Like, I just busted through that in a single sitting because I can, like, hyper focus on stuff. I don't have the ability to really do that. So, yes, I do know of Studio Ghibli. However, I don't have the same attachment that a lot of people do, which is unfortunate and definitely leads to a lot of weird conversations where people go, what do you mean you haven't seen, like, Nazca in the Valley of the Wind? What do you mean you don't remember Howl's Moving Castle? What do you mean that you don't recall Spirited Away? I've seen it. I don't know enough about it. I'm sorry. I can only do so much, especially when I don't have the good tism where I can do several things at once. I have to be locked in on whatever I'm doing.
rooms and displays of the process the studio goes through to make their films, including entire albums of concept art, individual frames of animations, and even recreations of Hayao Miyazaki's office. The whole building was laid out like a cozy building from one of their films. Very whimsical, very colorful, very dense with detail and clutter. And plenty of activities for kids too, including a fluffy cat bus play place,
Amazing.
which I was kind of envious. I kind of wished that I could go into, but I'm too big.
Yeah.
It was for kids.
Adult problems.
So we just kind of watch them have fun. There was a section of the museum all about the illusion of animation itself. It was a dark room with various rotating dioramas, old film machines, just a bunch of cool old tech that would have been used to make animations before the streamlining of digital media came along. And at the very back of the building, they even had a theater for attendees to watch a cute little short film about two children, a human and a rabbit, and their rivalry over a playground area. This is gonna sound cheesy, but that signature Ghibli vibe, the atmosphere, the feeling of whimsy and nostalgia and childhood wonder was just about everywhere in the building. And that includes the cafe outside as well. Yep, the Ghibli Museum has its own themed cafe, the Straw Hat Cafe, which was... I didn't really like the food. I think the only thing that looked good to me were the french fries, which were extremely unflavored and soft. But whatever, that wasn't really a place to get lunch anyway. Regardless though, the museum itself was a great experience, and we got to keep our tickets as a souvenir, which each one was a few frames of film from one of the movies.
That's so cool.
I got a bunch of fish. I think it's from Ponyo. That's the only movie that exists with fish in it.
You know what? See, here's the thing. Him getting that means that I can no longer get the fish. I can't escape it. I can't escape the stupid fish. I hate it. It shows up every now and again, and I hate it when it shows up. It's that stupid... It's not the puffer fish. It's the one... Oh, what is it? Let me go over to the Discord. I'm trying to figure out where it's at. It's if you on the Discord, it's quite literally the banner for it. Yeah, I don't know how to pull it up. But like it's the stupid fish that like it's the manta ray or whatever in the back in the sand, and then the fish goes across the screen and it has the Pink Panther theme on it. You're gonna know what I talk. It shows up every now and again. It stalks me. I don't know how it does it. You know, I can't escape that fish.
This was our last full day in Japan, and we wanted to take care of a couple of last things. Firstly, we wanted to dispose of all of our plastic containers from the accumulated gachapon that we had played, so we hauled a massive plastic bag full of them, went to the Skytree, and deposited them into one of these large recycling stations that would have given us special bonus gachapon pulls if only our phones were Japanese and worked with the app that you needed. Alas, we were content with just plain old recycling. For now. Secondly, we needed to pack our stuff, and thankfully, with the extra bag we grabbed, we were able to fit just about everything without too much trouble. Third, there was a place I wanted to go to finish some business I had started. You see, in the Eorzea Cafe, they stamp this little card for each drink you order, and once you reach a certain amount, you get a reward. In my case, pin of one of the, at the time, 7 main city hubs. And so Echo and I ordered some drinks, chugging them down like we were grinding for an achievement, and managed to reach the reward and nab a pin, which I decided to go for the objectively best city hub, the Crystarium from Shadowbringers. And you can...
I almost want to give it to him. I think I don't know. Like, I want to say, not Razad Han. What's the other one from Endwalker? Charlene. I want to say Charlene is better on principle, but I know for a fact I'm biased because the Endwalker trailer with Footfalls is one of the best pieces of media I have ever seen. It is objectively just, I don't go back and watch trailers, right? I don't. I'll see a trailer, I'll move on, right? Elden Ring, Night Rain, whatever. Like, I'll see it and move on. I have just sat and watched the Endwalker trailer multiple times. I think because of the part of the Endsinger theme that plays during the Charlene section. I think I'm biased on that point, but I understand. I can see why the Crystarium would be seen as the better one. I can give it to him, absolutely. I think I'm biased towards Endwalker. I'm also, I think, the minority of the community. I think that base Shadowbringers was worse than post Shadowbringers. Not that it was bad, right? But it was like I think that for me, subjectively, post Shadowbringers was better than base Shadowbringers, and I also liked base Endwalker. I did not like post Endwalker. I don't have any attachment to Final Fantasy IV. That's effectively what Endwalker was, like Endwalker post. I wasn't a fan, which I'm so sad I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan. We had the funny fan service scene though. That was funny. See once again we start talking about 14 and I just don't shut up. Yeah, it's a problem. I'm aware of it.
Disagree, but you're wrong.
And lastly,
I'll take that being wrong, honestly. Once again, I see where he's coming from. I would have to be biased towards Endwalker.
We wanted to stop by our favorite bar one last time. In Japan, there's a tradition called omiyage, basically giving your host or coworkers small, usually inexpensive souvenirs as mementos from a trip. We wanted to give the people of the yakitori place some items we had brought from the US. An American dollar, some ranch, and scented candles from Louisiana. We actually brought quite a few things for this tradition, mostly for the place we were staying at, but this yakitori restaurant left such an impact on us, we thought it necessary to give our thanks there as well.
I respect it.
It was time to go home, and as such, we had to do something we never had to do the entirety of our trip. We had to get in a car. Yeah, much as we probably could have walked our way to the airport using the metro, we didn't want to have to haul our luggage all the way up and down so many stairs again, so we grabbed an Uber and got an extremely polite and friendly driver who spoke English incredibly well, much as he would hesitate to ever admit himself. He even offered to take care of our heavy luggage and was surprised and seemed to panic a bit when we were so eager and ready to load it ourselves, not wanting to inconvenience him. As we were saying goodbye to Tokyo, he made the drive so pleasant and calming. It was nice to have a full conversation with a Japanese person as the final capstone thing we did on a trip, like a host asking us if the stay was satisfactory. I'll never forget how happy he was to hear that we had a good time staying in Tokyo. For the second time this trip, a middle-aged Japanese man single-handedly repaired my house, solved my finances, and rebooted my favorite franchise.
Yeah!
I love him. He dropped us off at the airport.
The ODST 2 hurts, dude. It hurts knowing that was a thing too, right? It hurts because it could have been a thing, but now I would play this and then Helldivers comes out. No! Oh, no, I'm not bitter. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was kind enough to even load our luggage onto some trolleys, which was a surprise to us. Geez, these are so convenient. Why don't we ever use the airport trolleys back home? We checked our bags, hustled through security, waited in a building with a very yonic ceiling.
Not letting that intrusive thought win.
And then we flew back. That was it. We said goodbye to Japan. It was a good trip. I look forward to going back someday soon.
The trolley is $7.
Fuck! Got him. What a banger video. It was really cool to watch this, and I'm so happy for them. Absolutely. There's times to talk about serious subjects. There's absolutely times to have conversations, right? But there's also times to just have fun. And I think JoCat really kind of captures that, just captures that, right? I mean, I go over the same subjects often again and again and again, especially when they become relevant in the conversations, right? Like, especially my poor interactions with the online 40K community. I mean, but just seeing things like here, like seeing his love for Warhammer, seeing his love for 14, which, once again, I don't shut up at 14. It's so good. Seeing just a number of things in here was so awesome. And I think he outlines what I've noticed about people rather well. That just middle-aged Japanese dude twice just saved his entire trip, or not just saved, but like made his entire trip better. People want those social interactions. People want to feel like they're part of something. People want to feel like a community. People want to feel like they can socialize and interact with each other. But unfortunately, in modern day, it's just not a thing that can happen a whole hell of a lot. And absolutely, there's certain things that people get petty over. I'm petty over many things. Don't get me wrong. And picking and choosing your interactions, especially when you determining if someone you want to let get close to you or not. Absolutely, I'm notoriously harsh on people who I let into my life because of past experiences. But it's good to see that these interactions still exist.
I like you.
I like you.
I'm excited.
I'm honestly really happy for them. Like, this was honestly really fun to watch. I'm very happy for them. This was amazing. I know this has been a hot minute, almost 2 hours, if you've been sitting here and watching the whole thing. I'm not really going to apologize for the length. I know I pause a lot. It's kind of a hallmark of what I do, unfortunately. I do like being able to talk and interact with what I'm doing, right? Focusing on what I'm doing. And And even outside of like his Blue Sky thing, hey, don't mind if anyone wishes to make reactions to this. As I said, I don't treat that as a freebie. I don't treat that as cool, this is just something I can react to and just throw out in the pipeline. I want to make sure that any video I react to, that I'm able to show it the respect it deserves. The mic issue, it seemed to fix it. I didn't even recognize it later on. So maybe it was a thing at the beginning. Maybe it was a different take. Maybe it got normalized weird. I don't know. But I mean, it wasn't an issue for me anywhere throughout the rest of like the 50-minute runtime. This was honestly nothing short of amazing. And thank you, JoCat, for being willing to share your trip. And thank you for coming back. I know the internet wasn't kind to you, and I wish the internet was kinder to a lot of people. And absolutely, had you wanted to stay off, I would have respected it. I am glad that you are back, and I'm glad that just these weird screechers just didn't win. Get that satisfaction. You didn't deserve that. And I'm so glad that you're back, and so glad that you're having fun, and so glad that your life feels like you're enjoying it. I get it, the workload, I get it. And I do small time, right? Like I'm super small time. I don't do the animation work. I hardly go days in a row without streaming. But it's just good to see someone positive. It really is. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, JoCat, for being just such a cool person. And as well as, oh my God, I totally forgot her name. I'm so sorry. Echo, thank you for just being just super legit and being around and with JoCat, especially when things were popping off with internet randoms and screechers. You two are just awesome together, and I can't wait to see what other content you guys cook up. I will be sure to link Echo down there as well. Make sure to link her channel as well in the description down below, to which, if you're wanting to see the original video, especially if you haven't, wink wink, you should go ahead and check out the original channel, as well as JoCat and Echo. In the description down below, you will see links to both of them. A big thank you to everyone who came out and watched, and a big thank you to everyone who really put this together for everybody. It was amazing and a nice, positive change of pace, especially when I'm so negative anymore. Have a good one.